So the most shocking trade in not just NBA history, but sports history happened in the past couple days, with Luka Doncic being traded from the Dallas Mavericks to the Lakers. Now, this isn't a sports channel.
I'm not a rapper. Let's go ahead and get into this.
But I thought I'd break it down in comic book terms. Hey Internet, I'm Chris, and this is the place on the internet where I talk about comics, movies, games, and things I'm generally passionate about. So before we talk about the Doncic-Lakers trade, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and let's dive in. So yeah, generally this is a comics channel, but you heard the last part of my intro, things I'm generally passionate about. And I am passionate about sports. Now the NBA for the past couple years has been weird. Like, it's been hard to kind of follow. The game is not fun with all the three-pointers. It's almost impossible to catch a game. You need like 30 subscriptions. But over the weekend, something happened that shifted the hierarchy of the NBA.
Things will never be the same, because the hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change.
Luka Doncic, arguably a top 3 player in the league, was traded seemingly out of nowhere from the Dallas Mavericks to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis and Max Christie. What makes this so shocking is that players at Doncic's age and talent do not come on the market. And also, in the age of information and immediacy, some of these things get leaked out. You kind of find out about it before it even happens. So the fact that in the middle of the night, one of the best players of the last 10-15 years that has been introduced to the league, Luka Doncic, an international superstar, gets traded is insane, especially traded for someone like Anthony Davis, who's 32 and is prone to injuries. And one of the reasons they said he was traded was the fact that he doesn't take care of his body. So why would you trade for Anthony Davis if that's the case? Who knows? The Dallas Mavericks are morons. But we're going to talk about what this trade means in terms of comic books. Well, imagine, in 2012, after the success of the Avengers, Disney and Marvel called Warner Brothers in the middle of the night. And they're like, hey guys, do you want Kevin Feige? And DC and Warner Brothers is like, what? Are you okay? What do you want? Like, do you want like the rights to Batman? Not really. We just kind of want to get rid of him, you know? Like, he's not doing much here, you know? Like, we're kind of not vibing with it. He just brought us to a championship, but who cares? And now, I know the MCU is not so hot right now, but like I said, imagine at the peak of his powers, Kevin Feige, after delivering what is the most successful string of movies, and that studio decided, hey, let's trade him. For what reason? Who knows? Because we don't want to pay him, because we don't want to give him credit, because we don't like his attitude. Now, from the outside looking in, from a fan perspective, and basically from an industry perspective, Disney and Marvel would be looked at as generational idiots. And that is what the Dallas Mavericks are now. Let's put it in even different terms when it comes to the actual characters. So let's say Spider-Man. Spider-Man, probably Marvel's most popular character. And Spider-Man is a character that currently in the comics, if you're reading ASM, you're probably going through a rough time right now. That book has been bad for a couple years. I haven't been reading it, but it seems no one likes that book, yet it is still in the top 10 consistently in sales. Let's say Marvel Comics was like, hey, DC, why don't we trade you Spider-Man for Wally West? Again, the response would probably be from DC, are you high?
Off the weed. Stay off the weed. And you can't stay off the weed.
What do you mean? And now, Wally West, like Anthony Davis, great character, was in the Justice League Unlimited series, was the Flash, but has had some injuries, became a murderer, and also, although he wasn't in the movie, the Flash movie has done a lot of damage to that character overall and the mantle of the Flash. Again, Wally, we all love Wally. Wally's great, all that. But Wally is not the best player on a championship team. Spider-Man, even with the terrible run he's been on in the comics, is Spider-Man, is consistently in the top 10. So like Luka Doncic, who even though you might look at it, it's like, hey, he's fat and slow. Even if he's fat and slow, he tore up the league as a fat, slow, and injured guy and took his team almost single-handedly to the NBA Finals.
And if I am an organization that has a 25-year-old on my roster, and the biggest complaint I may have about him is his conditioning, and that's the reason why I may not want to give him that $345 million contract.
Respectfully, Luka could have been in the back smoking crack.
And after that NBA Finals, the Dallas Mavericks decide we're going to trade him. Again, that would be like Marvel deciding, after the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, being like, you know what? The Spider-Man guy, we don't really like his attitude. He brings in a lot of money, but then we're going to have to pay him, all this kind of stuff. And then you just let him go. And to kind of even give it another business perspective, like the first scenario, there was an actual scenario that almost happened back in the day. So back when Sony was getting the rights to Spider-Man, Marvel actually offered the entire Marvel universe to Sony for just $25 million. And Sony said, I'm good. Now, Sony, in that perspective, is actually Nico Harrison, the GM of the Dallas Mavericks, who will probably go down in history as the worst GM in sports just off this one trade. This one trade has erased the Herschel Walker trade and the Deshaun Watson trade as the worst trades in the history of sports. In Sony's defense, who could have known that superhero movies would be that big? To be able to sit on the rights for any type of character for any number of years for just a measly $25 million, especially back then when, the movie industry actually made money, is kind of insane when you think about it. And it's the great what ifs in movie and comic book movie history. But yeah, this trade is insane. It's been a couple days and still doesn't feel real. It feels like a comic book storyline in a lot of ways. So that's why I had to talk about it and put it in simple terms that I can understand, which is comic book terms. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments your comic book equivalent of the Luka Doncic Lakers trade. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Peace.
The hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change.